Hello, and welcome back to the Coop De Villa channel. I'm Scott Cooper, and we are back to talk about Leicester City against Aston Villa. We got a point, but that's about as positive as you can be from that game. And we will be getting into all the action, and there wasn't really much of it, let's be honest. After this. All right, so we were at the King Power Stadium, Aston Villa taking on Leicester City, and we were coming off 4 defeats in a row. 5 defeats in a row would have equaled Dean Smith's record that got him the sack, and thankfully we didn't go to 5 games, Tommy, but apart from the clean sheet and the point, there isn't really much positive to talk about this game because we weren't much better than we have been the previous weeks.
No, not at all. I think the players certainly need to, look themselves in the mirror and be a bit more accountable for what, that shit show we see on the pitch every week. And I think there's certainly been some winnable games from our end, but I think now we've got some pretty heavy expectation on ourselves. Realistically, we're lucky if we're picking up points, let alone a win. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it extends beyond what we see. Something's happened. I feel that we're super patchy. It's like, 3 losses, then 3 wins, then back to 3 losses. It's like, I'd rather just 1 loss, 1 win every week, but it's not the way it's going to plan at the moment.
No, and I did hear it's like 360 minutes since our last goal from open play. So, I mean, there was the penalty against Wolves that Watkins scored just, and that's been it. It's really just been on the ball. It's unwatchable at times, and it's got to beg the question: have we become worse under Gerrard than we were under Smith, or you still got hope that he's going to turn around next season?
Look, he was always coming to Villa with not a lot of experience on the resume. Yeah, he done great things at Rangers, but not that it's a farmers league. It's really a 2-horse race every. I mean, if you've done it with like a Motherwell or a Kilmarnock, and I think also just to add on top of that, I think that's what happens when you've got too many chiefs. He's got his big team that kind of does everything for him. So I just think, it's like a CEO at a company. They delegate things to the CFO, the COO, the CIO, and you just think, well, what's Gerrard's role here in all this? Is he just orchestrating it all at the top? Seems like Beale takes a lot of the team talks, and I think maybe that's causing a bit of a problem because there's a bit of a taint towards Gerrard's authority. I mean, that's kind of the way he rolls with it, but I don't know. As the coach, you want to oversee everything. You've got coaches saying, well, I want to oversee recruitment as well as coaching, where Gerrard's just happily delegating everything. So I think that's the problem. Too many people telling the players different things, and I think if it came from one like centralized place or one central figure, i.e. the coach, I think probably be doing a bit better now. Just my opinion.
And it's probably like a good cop, bad cop thing, like they probably don't hear from Gerrard unless there's bad news or he's got to like dig someone out or something like that. So that could be a bit of a disconnect there. I think also his style of play with the players we've got, I don't know, that could be a factor. I don't think he's got the players he wants for the system he wants to play. So you can sort of give him a bit of a pass there because it is Dean Smith's team. And, I'm not saying, he should be sacked or we should have a new manager at the end of the season, anything like that, obviously, because what's the point?
Between him and higher up, there needs to be some sort of communication now, and certainly a little bit of pressure just because you're early into the job. I've seen managers sacked X amount of games in, especially with the bigger clubs as well. They demand results as soon as possible, and I think the board needs to be held accountable, Perslow as well, because they were kind of conspiring this behind Smith's back for months, and it seems like maybe they've got it wrong.
Perhaps we'll have to wait and see, but like even just things like bringing the young guys through. I mean, Tim got half an hour against Leicester, which was good. But and and he looks all right. He looked pretty good. I mean, it was it must be hard for him coming into a team that's just as
Shit.
disjointed and terrible as we are at the moment. But so it seems just like quite a few players have regressed under Gerrard at the moment. I mean, Konsa.
I know Coutinho is the main one, and actually, before it's not just he's been crap. I also will say, and I did see a good comment. He's also picked up probably the most man of the match performances, even though he still had some bad games and goes anonymous at times. So again, it's not fully slating Coutinho, but I definitely think we've seen he's very patchy, and I think consistency was always something that was highlighted throughout his Liverpool days as well.
And away from home, I can't remember him having a good game for us, really.
Being set out wide on the left, I think they're playing him at the moment. Why not play? I think what happened to the Ings and Ollie up front with Coutinho behind him, like that was working, and then I just don't understand why we changed it.
Yeah, well, he went with the front three of Bailey, Watkins, and Coutinho this week. And
Bailey's, I think, he's worrying everyone right now. You see certain comments on threads, and now you look back, you're like, wow, these people kind of hit the nail on the head. And a lot of the Leverkusen fans said, oh, like we're biting Villa's hand off with this amount they're throwing. And I thought Bailey's class. And a lot of them said, oh, he's made a class, etc. I think now we're starting to witness what was being said about him pre-Villa. Sad though, because I remember that. I think his opening game, like, wow, we've got a player on our hands, also like Jack Hu, and then all of a sudden, and also, I'm not hating on any of the Villa forums. Fuck, can we be a Villa forum? I feel like we're very Man City lately, pro Man City. Now I think all the shared, Grealish's last game, 100 million players, zero this, zero assists, zero tackles won, or whatever it was. I just felt like, what's that got to do with Villa? So I think Villa fans are sick of seeing that shit too, because obviously we miss Jack. Emmy said it in his recent interview as well. Emmy's someone that we need to worry about, departing, even if he's got a 60 million release clause. Any good club will activate that tomorrow.
Yeah, and there's been actual rumours that Juventus are interested.
100% not. Would he turn down winning Serie A and competing top of the Champions League with world-class players, or fighting for maybe Europa League with Villa? And I'm all Villa, but to be honest, if I'm Emmy, I'm like, well, what's going to help me better my career? Yeah,
and talking about Emmy, he was involved early in the match when he dropped that easy cross. That was, very un-Emmy-like. He looked very nervous in that first half.
Good recovery, though.
Yeah, he did all right in the second half, made a decent save from Madison from the free kick. But, I mean, both teams didn't have any real golden opportunities. Bailey had a pretty good one where it was cut back to him and he blazed it over. And, Buendia had a good effort at the end of the game. I thought he looked quite lively for his sort of 10 minutes that he came on. But yeah, it was awful. I mean, I think McGinn probably, was all right. But apart from that, I mean, Watkins.
Everyone's kind of a shadow themselves, all their prime self we saw 2 years ago, that when we had a really good run under Smith.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
tough.
Yeah, to see guys like Watkins, like he just, his first touch is awful. He was going everywhere. He fights hard and he's a good player. I don't want to get rid of him, but then you throw in, guys like Bailey and Coutinho who didn't really even turn up. Let's be honest. They don't look like they're really bothered at the moment.
I think Coutinho's mind's elsewhere, and it happens like, friendships, relationships, and your mind's in that departure lounge mentally because he hasn't signed. It's completely up to him whether his personal terms or not, and I don't blame him if he doesn't. Second of all, it's a lot of money that we're going to fork out. I don't foresee him taking a 50% pay cut from like 400K. It's on ridiculous money. And I think now they're saying Newcastle are just kind of monitoring his situation. They'd snap him up tomorrow. They're not afraid to just pull the trigger now with all the money they've got.
No, so wages isn't an issue for them. And
I feel like Buendia's been doing well when he comes on. So, again, we haven't even played Buendia in his natural position, which is where Coutinho plays. So, could be bad, could be disguise. You never know, mate.
We haven't seen Chukwuemeka for a long time. Sanson had that one game, and then we had never.
Archer. I don't think David should have been loaned out, first of all, but what it is. But then, what worries me is that, there's that quite chaos creates opportunity, and a lot of our young talent is out on loan when we fans and everyone else external to, Villa management, we all saw a lot of promise there. So if we're doing shit, like I think you said it a while ago in the group chat, just play the youngsters, like nothing to play for now, nothing to win, and just let them develop, let them get that bit of experience, confidence, and go into next season, firing. Why not? It's a level playing field.
Hopefully we can beat Norwich on the weekend. Home to Norwich, you would think.
Smith in hashtag.
And then, if we could beat them, then, we are safe, like technically safe. We got the 40 points. So play the kids. After that, I mean, I know we probably want to get back to winning ways on this weekend because it's been such a long time since a win. But if we do get that win, I agree that it's time to start. Yeah. There's no need to see the likes of McGinn, Douglas Luiz. They played all year. Give them a rest. So it's really frustrating. About the Coutinho thing that you were touching on, I just wanted to say that this week was probably the first week where I started to think, if we didn't sign him,
it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And 33 million is a lot to fork out. I mean, that's what do we pay? I think that was like Ings money, but at least Ings, we knew he was proven in the Prem. Yeah, Coutinho was too, but everyone said, I think he certainly regressed from his best. But I completely agree, Scotty. One thing, don't be afraid to pull the trigger. Like, you look at Burnley, they sacked Dyche. Everyone's like, oh, Dyche was the best thing they had. He had a shoestring budget. They're 7 out of 9 points in their last 3 games. And they beat Wolves, which again are a pretty impressive side this season under Lange or Large, whatever his name is.
Absolutely, and and we got to look for next season as well because Newcastle are going to be better. Leeds will probably be better. Like all these teams in and around us will be better. They'll strengthen, and
where's the problem? You see Leeds, all right, they part ways with Bielsa. Burnley part ways, all these so-called shittier teams down the bottom, they're starting to pick up points, and we're just slowly dropping. And again, what are we? 1 point in potential 12 the last 4 games. Might be 1 in 15, if we draw against Norwich. As much as I want to win, form ain't there lately. So, Norwich are going to come out hungry, and I know Smith's got some pretty good team talks we've seen with him, while he was at Villa. So I think he'll definitely want to prove a point against the team that let him go. Yeah, he's Villa at heart, but he's Norwich's manager, and everyone wants to get one up on the club that let him go.
Yeah, they'll think that they can win this game. And I mean, I watched them a couple of weeks ago against Man United, and they played really well in that game.
Yeah, a lot of electric, a lot of young kids they're playing, and good on them. I mean, that's kind of Smith's mantra: always just field the youngsters and buy gems, breed talent.
Yeah. Well, I think it's home to Norwich, home to Burnley the next 2 games.
Not easy at all. Not easy.
Not easy, but they're games that if we lost both of them, I think Gerrard would be under pressure, serious pressure.
Yeah, like I said, I think the board need to look at themselves because Perslow, they're all, we've been planning this for ages. They're kind of just alluding to the fact that they'll backdoor and Smith for a while. They need to be held accountable too because, if we go back to some of our previous podcasts, we all said Gerrard's the likely favourite, but as a neutral, just as a Villa fan, kind of ejecting yourself emotionally, it's like, who would we like? And there's a reason why some of us were saying Philip Boas, look what he's done at Marseille, and he's actually assembled a good team, and they're super competitive because Marseille always been near the top, and now they're like, wow, they're really impressive. So that's what we need to see. Like, why can't we go for a world-class manager? Obviously, we don't want to take a risk on someone. Again, I think the logical one next would probably be Graham Potter. We give him shit, but I'm like, well, at least he plays attacking football. I don't care if we don't convert chances. Just play some nice football.
Yeah, and I think he would be a better option than,
than
Gerrard from what we've seen.
Well, we said that already. He was more proven. He's got some affiliation with Villa, and I think he was pretty keen to come. I think that would probably open the door to Basuma as well. I think Calvin Phillips, is out of the equation now. That's 60 million. I think if we get Basuma for about 30, because then he'd be into his final year of his contract. That's a bit different. think Potter's got some ties with him there. So
yeah, well, Gerard was at Marseille last week watching Boubacar Kamara.
Some other guy, some other
but,
friend, I think, or 2 Marseille players. So yeah, it's like, if anyone said right now, would you not sign Coutinho and also look to replace Gerrard? I think quite a few people be leaning towards yes. Not being a fickle Villa fan, that's being a realist. Yeah, like you said, I was like, oh, wow, 33 mil, pull that trigger, start the contract talks ASAP. I'm like, I find it funny that. Well, I find it funny. Maybe now I understand why Gerrard wasn't in such a rush to pull the trigger, because he's seen what Coutinho had done at Liverpool, but also he'd seen what Coutinho didn't do at Liverpool. So he's like, well, if you're coming down to a smaller team, technically, or based on the ladder, you should be performing in, week out. You should probably be the best player in this team, hands down, double teamed every week. Instead, he's not teamed. He's just anonymous half the time.
He certainly has been. I mean, if you go back to when we beat Southampton 4-0, it was a lot different back then. He was pulling the strings. He was making chances, scoring goals, setting up goals.
Confidence, and I think he was still technically coming back. He wasn't fully fit at the time as well. Now all of a sudden he should be a lot more fit, and match fitness, mental health, fitness, that should all be there by now, and it's not. So I just don't understand why it's not clicking. I think it maybe extends beyond the players, but they certainly should be accountable. You put that shirt on every week. You pay, pay to play, whatever it is, and we're not seeing what we want. At least put in a shift. We're being realistic. Saying 5 goals, like we're giving some ridiculous predictions over the last couple of months, and now it's like, geez, I'd be lucky if we get a point. Yeah. So I think our sense of optimism is certainly fading.
Well, yeah, I mean, this season has turned into just, absolute shit show. I mean, the only consolation is we're not going to get relegated.
Yeah, we missed. Everyone's like Jack, who I'm like, we'll take him back tomorrow with wide open arms. Like clearly that, you look at the difference between Jack and Coutinho. Well, one could carry this team and turned us into a pretty good mob when he was playing, and one, has the opportunity to do the same, but we're just not seeing it. So production, Jack's clearly, I think, light years ahead of Coutinho.
But I think the one positive thing, I think in this game we did put in a shift in terms of the effort. The defense was solid. We had, we had a few shaky moments, but nothing terrible. We weren't leaking chances like we have been, in the Wolves game, and it's against Tottenham in the second half, that sort of thing. So, that was kind of a positive, but
they also didn't have Vardy. I mean, let's be honest. If they had Vardy, I'm sure the ball probably would have found the back of the net a few times. He can just go and create, or just let him chase. I don't know if Barnes played as well. Maybe he did. Maybe he did.
He came off the bench.
They were. They probably hindered with a couple injuries, or just maybe they're just changing players. I don't know. But yeah, look, it wasn't probably a full strength Leicester side. We'll take the point. I mean, why not? A point away, it's never easy, so it is a positive. But yeah, for me, the real standout, to be the only real positive, was like Erogan Balm. I think the general consensus was giving 1, maybe 2 votes. So yeah, he looks promising. So that kind of solves a problem now. Like, does he push for a start? Does he start? I think some people, I'm just going by what I see on forums and Twitter, etc. It's more like Sanson's probably on the way out. Traore's probably on the way out. We'll definitely get rid of El Ghazi. Like he literally switched for Everton, and he's not even getting a run there.
Yep. And, if you look at sort of that side of Smiths, like last season, these guys like El Ghazi, like Traore, I mean, they're performing a lot better than the likes of Coutinho and Bailey at the moment. So it does make you sort of question, like, what's Gerrard's plans going forward? Who's he going to get rid of? Where is he going to strengthen? I think we can all think there's going to be a defensive midfielder, definitely. Probably another centre half. But we're sort of in limbo a little bit until the end of the season, until Gerrard can have the pre-season, get all these players in, and go from there.
It was like that's the plan moving forward. He was supposed to have a plan when we signed him. Like we're expecting to see some results. Is it just survive this season, then maybe things might improve? I'm big on action and results than hope and potential.
That's it. And like you said,
You know, like he can go sign a whole new 11. Doesn't mean they're going to gel.
That's it. But I think, you know, if Graham Potter was in charge of this squad, I think we'd be in a far better position than we are right now.
I don't know, just based on what I've seen, he doesn't take shit. You know, I think I saw something, I don't know if it was this season, it was like managers who overreact when their team scores, and Potter got excited when Brighton beat, you know, City, and then Guardiola was all like, mate, like I'd be raving as well with my players when we score, you know, if we beat top table team.
That's it. Well, the ladies had a 0-0 draw as well against Man United at home. So that was probably a better result for them than it was for the men, because they were playing Man United, and that was a pretty decent performance, good defensive performance. So no goals at all for the Villa teams this week. What are your predictions for Norwich? Because there's really not a lot much more to say about this game.
I think, given it's home, I'll probably go 2-0. I want to go with Ings to score both, because I just think Ollie's, you know, he's forgotten his shooting boots, and just his touch isn't even there. So Ings is that natural finisher. I do hope we go with the Ollie and Ings up front with Coutinho behind them. I think that's our best, that's our most lethal attacking front, third. So that 2-0, Ings to get both. Maybe one pen, one from field.
I think it might be a bit more nervy than that. I'm going to go 2-1. I'll say, who's going to score? Maybe a McGinn and Ings, something like that.
Yeah,
right. But yeah, I'm certainly not confident. If Norwich came and turned us over, I would not be surprised. And I'm just glad that we're pretty much safe. There is a few people on Twitter that are predicting us to go down by these ludicrous set of results, or like the Wolves guy, you know, the
AI and just let it just pan out naturally, guys. You fucking nerd.
Yeah, he is a nerd. But well, that's going to be it for this week. It's just me and Tommy, a bit of a short one, but it was a terrible game. So,
man, super sub, guys, come on, pull your finger out. Scott and I committed to this.
Well, yeah, Troy has COVID, so that's why he's not here. And Noah and Aman are busy with their uni studies and work, so it's all right. It's just us two. But thanks for watching the channel. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Leave a comment. Let us know where you think the team needs help. What players would you bring in the summer? And yeah, let us know how you think we're going to go against Norwich. But until the Norwich game, thanks again, everyone, and up the Villa. We'll see you after Norwich. Later. See you, Tommy.
Thanks, Scotty.